Pay, what up, though? Turn up one time for the one time, man. Shout out to the homie Asset Money Reese. And shout out to Dimples. Bucket Naked. Bucket Naked. I almost said something. Well, we grown. Fuck it, I'm going to say it. You know they going to go out and say, yeah, I heard them BCU Indians over there talking about having a retreat at a new resort. Yeah, I can hear it now. Yeah, I can see the headlines. I can see the headlines now. You know, I heard you ain't heard it from me, but I catch word that them BCU Indians over there talking about having a retreat, a spiritual retreat, ass naked at a new resort. Yeah, I can see the headlines now. Dimple, you keep us in some shit. You just gonna keep us in some shit. I heard somebody say Topcatz just trying to take a tally. That nigga really trying to poll the chat to see who got the thumbs up and the thumbs down. Topcatz really, yeah, they say, well, I peeped that game. He was quick. Yeah, I peeped that game. That nigga really trying to take a poll of approval in the chat. See how many we can really get out there and put this together. Because, you know, we all need spirituality. We need that spirit child. We need to tap back into the divine presence of the universe on the butt naked beach. I'm just saying, hey, I've been, hey man, I've been back in my Cardinal state. I dibbed and dabbled, I indulged. You ain't never saw me out there ass naked with a towel over my shoulder and some flip flops on. That has never happened. Ever. That has never happened in life. But yeah. I've been I ran across some environments like that. Didn't know. You leave out the country, it's people mindsets are different. You Negroes here today, y'all like to judge. What wrong with a motherfucker tanning topless? You catch a nigga from America though, and they tanning topless, bikini strap in the ass, and you sitting over there hiding behind a tree, beating your dick off. I want to do a history check. I know it ain't Black History Month. I want to do a history check. Do y'all remember the Jack Off Bandit? I want to see how long y'all been around. Y'all remember the Jack Off Bandit? So if you ever watch the movie Next Friday, somebody say no Diddy. I thought it was no Hebrew now. I thought they changed it. I thought they changed it to no Hebrew. Okay, all right. Well, we'll stick with no Diddy. No. No Diddy, cool. That'll work. I thought they say no Hebrew now, but that'll work. It's fine. Have y'all ever seen the movie Friday After Next Friday? One of those movies. And they had the little bandit. Ricky Smiley, nigga break in your shit. so radio, man. Come on, man. Y'all gotta stop it, man. Come on, man. Sunday is in 2 days. And y'all behaving like this. Bro, Sunday in 2 days. I hope you niggas don't. You know the nigga, the Sabbath. It's sundown Friday, nigga. It's Sabbath. You nigga better watch out. Yeah, nigga, it's sundown Friday, nigga. It's Sabbath. So like I was saying, yeah, like nigga on some back in the game, it was a serial Jack artist. So what he would do was he would come in the lives under, somebody's name. He'll come in the live, he'll join the panel, and he'll burn you up. All you see is draws to the nigga knees. I'm talking about, look like he watched them hoes 100 times. It by time to get rid of them. Yeah, the elastic band ain't even holding up on them hoes, nigga. And the nigga, he sitting there and he just used to pull on his dick right there live. How long y'all been around the community? It's been some sick shit that happened. I'm talking about one time he was over there on Root Word, the dope fiend that be stealing radio, breaking niggas' cars and shit. Causing crime in the Aboriginal community. Niggas stealing hood caps and shit. I caught his ass at the plasma. My radio came up missing. It was early Monday morning, nigga. I rode by the plasma office. I saw a bike outside. I said, yeah, bitch. And that hoe, they pulled that plasma out of him. He weak. They want you to hydrate. Yeah, that bitch that nigga was dehydrated. I put hands and feet on that hoe. That bitch, you been in my car. Yeah, because I had got drunk the night before. I might play him the whole nigga forgot to lock my door. Motherfucking double D radio ended up come up missing. But I rode by the plasma center. I saw that whole bike out there. Boy. So one day he was doing the bill, Wikipedia. The nigga reading the Wikipedia article, and he was reading from top to bottom, and he just let the next person in on the panel. Man, I everything I love, it was like at least 1 minute and 45 seconds. At least 2 minutes went by before he got caught. And it don't be that many people in his chat, so he had a few members like, hey, what's going on? Creek said he got Bandit too. Man, I remember he came in at A1 he popped in on AP channel at A1. He was like, shout out to my brother, 100 kill in the business. And that nigga swiped that dick out and got to pulling. Yeah, right there, nigga. And he put A1 in the bad spot because nobody had never seen A1 face. So when A1 came to court and he said, nah, hell nah, nigga, y'all know I wouldn't do no shit like that. And then words started going around and saying, well, we don't know, nigga. We ain't never seen you. Yeah. Shit, nigga, how we know that wasn't you, nigga? We never. I said, that nigga gonna need the best Moorish lawyer in goddamn in New Jersey, nigga, or Philadelphia to get him off this case, nigga. Goddamn it. We got a bandit. We got a jack-off bandit out here on the loose. He's frequenting Aboriginal panels. And that nigga stood there and caught his nut and everything. I said, this is a penitentiary, nigga. This is jailhouse, nigga. That nigga sat there and blasted off. Ruward read a whole Wikipedia article. And the nigga sitting there over the sink, nigga, he steady dabbing his hand in the water. He steady professional jack artist. I ain't never thought of no shit like that, nigga. Yeah, that nigga steady dab in the water, nigga, and he just pulling on the dick. Right there live, why this nigga read a Wikipedia article about how America is really Morocco. I said, that ain't nobody but the ancestors. Cause you niggas that ain't nobody but the ancestors, nigga. You out here with this pseudo ass. Yeah, that ain't nobody but the ancestors. That nigga went up there and beat his dick on him. And you know what? I found the corporate. See, a lot of niggas, they stopped and fingerprinted niggas and people were getting pulled over, say you fit the description. A1 had to hire a lawyer. I don't know if he went and got Johnny Cochran or what. That nigga needed Johnny Cochran because, yeah, if the glove don't fit, we must have quit. But then they were like, yeah, but we ain't never seen you. How we know that ain't you? How we know? Nah, that was a fucked up position to be in. Nigga got to cam up. So did the nigga look like this or what? Yeah, you got to fuck around going there and cam up. Hold on, man. Let me go take a shower, put some clothes. If this guy look like this, yeah, nigga gotta do a whole lineup. Yeah, NYPD, nigga, feds is on the case, everything, nigga. Who is the dig bandit? Well, it's a nigga named Free Papu or Free Papu, whatever the fuck. It was him. And I'm going to tell you how I caught him. Because the nigga pulled up. It was a late night bill. And he pulled up in the dummy pulled up under his real page. Now, when people are backstage, the crowd can't see, but, you know, the host can see. So, I see, you know what I'm saying? Boom. A nigga pop on the panel, you know, on the backstage. And so I look, and the nigga unfastening, nigga trying to get the belt out the belt loop. The nigga, you know, the nigga unfastening the belt. He getting ready. And I said, I caught your bitch ass. Caught your bitch ass. Look, y'all, look at him right here. This is him in Free Papu. I knew that nigga, goddamn nigga from the islands. Caught his ass. I knew him. Look at the hair on his legs. That's an island boy. I knew it was that. Yeah, we caught your phone ass. He got up out of there. Yeah, that whole backstage nigga got to unbuckling his belt and shit, and the belt loop got stuck. He wiggle. I said, oh, I got you, bitch. Got you, bitch. Boy, they say they want ass. Nigga, he say what he want, but nigga, boy, yeah, I end up catching the corporate, nigga. This nigga jacked off on 6 lives, caught 6 nuts in less than an hour and 30 minutes. I said, this nigga got some testosterone on him. Knew he was an island boy. That nigga drinking coconut water off the tree. Nigga, y'all niggas in there. Man, ain't niggas in America ain't got that testosterone like that, nigga. All this motherfucking pesticide they got in the food and shit out there. Nigga, we can't catch 6 nuts back to back. That was an island, nigga. I knew it. Caught his ass. Bathroom Bandit. Bathroom Bandit. Yeah. Shit been fucked up, man. Shit done got it started to come together, you know, but it was some wild times. And the guy still be around. So if y'all ever see a nigga named Free Papu, he got 100 accounts. It's him. He's the dig bandit. And I called him out one time. Yeah, ho ass nigga, say, bitch, don't you ever pull up, nigga, trying to pull your dick out on my. What are you talking about? Bitch, that was you. Shut up, ho. Bitch, that was you. Caught your bitch ass. You came in under the wrong account. He came in under his account and tried to leave back out and come back in as a new nigga. Bitch ass nigga, I caught him on somebody else's panel. Bitch, I'm telling you, ho, bitch, you lucky. Hit your bitch ass with a deer rifle. Yeah, bitch, you lucky. Come out there with that deer rifle, bitch, and knock your shit off. That nigga, he got all them Aboriginal niggas slipping, though. All them niggas, he beat that dick up on all them niggas channel. Live for the community to see. Nah, that was a funny story, though, man. The nigga still be around. I promise you, pull up, you'll probably see him. When I see him, I don't like him. Nigga, you need your ass beat up by everybody. I do not like him. Nigga, you the dick bandit. On my mama, nigga, he's the dick bandit. Cause he tried to come over here and came in on his real account and tried to leave back out. That hoe couldn't get that belt through the loop. That cheap ass belt, he couldn't unlace that cheap ass. Yeah, he couldn't lace that cheap ass belt. Yeah, he had to sit the phone down and use 2 hands to try to. By the time I kicked him. He come back under the new name. I guess he ready now. I guess he naked now. Bitch, blocked from the stream. Bitch, get your whole ass away from here, nigga. Nigga, we on point, nigga. We answered the door with the pistol in our hand, nigga. I don't know where you come from, nigga. Yeah, nigga not gonna. We answered the door with the bang in our hand, nigga. Who are you? Y'all ready to turn up though, man? It's Freaky Dicky Friday, man. What a love is.
Give me one break, I need space.
Come on, Dimples, you like to dance? Let's walk.
Better believe it. Better receive it.
Hey.
Give me something I'm lucky. I don't need nothing. You are my everything.
How different?
Only me and you. Only me and you. Only me and you. Only me and you. Only me, only you. Only me and you. Only me and you. Only me and you. Only make me your matter. Make me your matter. Make me your matter. Show me a soft. Make me a pass. Make me a pass. Give me one break, I need better believe you. Better receive you.
Hey.
Give me something I'm not. I don't need nothing. You are my everything. Only me and you. Only me and you. Only me and you. Only me and you. Only me, only you. Only me and
What them Jaguars is it? Nah, Red Wolf is for anybody. Let me know the size. Hey. Dimples, I think you can fuck with this one a little better. No, I did not say I think you can fuck to this better. I'm not sure how old Dimples is. Dimples probably don't remember the days when we used to fuck to the blue DVD. Y'all remember the DVD sign? That motherfucker just bounce. That motherfucker just be bouncing around the screen. Bitch just say DVD. Yeah, we used to fuck to the DVD player. I don't know if Dimple's old enough for that, but I didn't say this is something to fuck to. I said you can fuck with this. You know, let's walk. Man, don't tell me y'all don't know nothing about that. Y'all ain't never fucked to that little blue DVD. Come on now, we gotta be truthful now. This is a safe space. You would not come on now. This is a safe space. Drop a 1 in the comment if you ever fucked to the blue DVD bouncing around the screen. Let's walk. You haven't. You ain't never had no good, did you? Yeah, cause nigga, that was Jagged Edge singing on the motherfucker. Yeah, nigga, that was Jagged Edge. Who else was that back there in them days? That was feel like I just walk right out of hell, but feel like I done danced on my life away. Hey. Yeah, no. That was Brian McKnight. You're more than wonderful, more than amazing. The irreplaceable love of my life. Yeah, we used to fuck for shit with harmony, nigga. Nigga, we fuck the shit with harmony, nigga. You niggas fucking out Trey Songz. I bet the neighbor know my name. No, I bet Diddy know your name. Did he do it? Did he do it? Did he not? Turn up, we got a good show. We got a little something. Let me get out of here because this shit just making me, this shit just let me know how long of a drought I've been on. I ain't had no pussy in so long, nigga. I need to get up out of there. talking about rock the boat, work the middle. Yeah, I ain't had no pussy in a minute, nigga. I need to get out of there, nigga. That shit gonna have me hiring a contractor or something, nigga. I'm looking for talent, nigga. That shit. I'm not going into my Cardinal state, nigga. Fuck that. Let me get up out of there. Time to work the middle and all that, nigga. I've been into Jesus, nigga. I'm trying to manifest the better reality, nigga. I'm looking forward to a beautiful 2025, nigga. Let me get up out of there. That's the devil's work. Devil's work.
They say time is.
This fool Anthony right here. He said, listen,
I'm from the bricks, we got a whole lot of bricks, you got a whole lot of tricks, and I wanna see what you do.
Hey.
Lately she been noticing he ain't me. If I am made you angry, girl, just slow and get better time.
Best kept secret.
They say time is.
What they say?
She can't see her life without me. She's so blessed. What that nigga, you can tell him that you lost it. And she don't want to go to sleep, she angry. Lately she been noticing he ain't me. I wish that we can change fantasy. No more fantasy. She got my heartbeat racing.
They say time.
Don't go live no life without me, cause you're mine. And I don't wanna go unless you make me.
Pretty face, pretty tender, but pretty taught me ugly lessons. Pretty had me giving more than I was getting. So pretty don't come with something more than I did it. Shame to tell my friends how much I do for you.
We don't jam Drake. Yeah, my bad, Drake. Appreciate your verse. But yeah, we don't jam Drake around here. You know, we finna get into the show. We gonna rock out. You know, can we get a toast? Y'all, anybody drinking out there? It's Friday. Glass of water, whatever, nigga, apple juice. Let's toast.
Guys, you know you better.
What's up? VCU. What a minute is that? Let's go. Let a flame, what a flame, get the lights up.
Trying to keep it just like before. Times when I never even thought to speak. Don't want to tell you what it is. For a way it felt so serious. Got me thinking just too much. I wanna shut it out, but it's this one thing that got me tripping. It's this one thing that got me tripping. You did this one thing, you so baby feeling. It's this one thing you did. This one thing that got me slipping. It's this one thing I want to admit it did.
Hold on, they on their feet now. Turn up, you East Coast niggas like that, don't y'all? Let's go.
This one thing I know so winning. It's this one thing you did. Hey, we
Sound like an all-white party, but let's go. Cheers.
don't know each other well, so why I keep picking on myself. Memory just keep ringing bells. Hear voices I don't wanna understand. My car keys are jingling in my hand. My hands I couldn't get towards the door. It's this one thing that got me tripping. It's this one thing that got me tripping. You did this one thing you so baby feeling. It's this one thing you did. This one thing that got me slipping. This one thing I want to admit it. This one thing I know so winning. This one thing you did. I gave you exchange for leaving. This one thing you did.
You were right, you gonna be your old smooth ride.
I'm on my mind, yeah, nigga, seeing double, y'all. Tell me what's the chance to the fucking both of y'all. She said, long as we can do it with your ice on. You better carry my well, need a lights on. I'm on my mind, just blew a $100 sweet. In my black and orange Charger, call it trick or treat. And they ain't ready till all the balloons got guns. How stupid dumb they, my rooms got rooms.
Why y'all switch? I'm saying fine.
12:45.
Why that time?
Ready to get it all week. Time to unwind.
Swinging like a saint. Wow, my mind.
Turn your click up, dog. Turn your bitch up, dog. Turn these streets can't cross it. All these streets need bosses. Turn your click up, dog. Turn your bitch up, dog. Turn these streets can't cross it. Cross them up. All these streets need bosses.
All these streets need bosses. Turn it one time, man. We're gonna get into the bill, man. I ran across this bill, and shout out to my Seminole brother that came through the other day. He mentioned this lady, and he said that she was, kin to John Horace. So I say, I think I know what he's talking about. Cause I heard a few interviews, of the young lady that speaks about John Horace. So I wanted to bring one of the discussion. I don't know if this is the exact one, but I did want to bring a discussion that she had, if this is the same person or not. I'm not sure. But we're gonna walk through some Seminole history. Let's go.
Combined, don't overlook it just because when you think Indian or you think indigenous or whatever term you want, that it has to be this idea or this photograph. Right. Indigenous is indigenous to the community regardless of your color. And I think once we say that we're indigenous or we're part of that indigenous group, that somehow we're saying we're not Black. But that's not what we're saying, and then when we're in Nacimiento, Mexico, if we're saying you were born in Mexico, somehow I'm not Black. Right. Like it's not true. Yeah. So those cultures and those communities that we're a part of needs to be more, talked about, because if you keep just saying Black, that's one dimensional. And we're not. We're very layered. We're very complex people and have so many different aspects in our culture that were significant. But if you just lay on to just one part, Black, then you're losing everything that to me makes our community and our culture special. Yes. To generate.
I think this brother in Atlanta, matter of fact, AP ended up doing a bill with him. But I think he in Atlanta, man, I'll fly out there and come drop some bars. So I can see that happening in 2025. I seen Chief say cool. So a lot of Seminoles. So I'm not sure. I'm not too fond of this brother 3 Mil. But it seemed like he he interested in the Seminole conversation. I seen at least about 4 Seminole, man, maybe even more, 4 or 5, Seminole conversations. So let's walk. We talking about John Horace right now.
General Aguilar.
About one of his descendants. We want to throw that out there.
Sir, you are the head here and the father and the mother to us Seminole. I come here this day to see you in behalf of my people, and I hope that what I ask here in writing, you will please grant us. I am born in Florida. My people were taken from there and brought to Arkansas. Everything was taken away from us when we left Florida. Houses, cattle, horses, etc. Everything what we had. And the government pledged itself at that time to pay us for all the losses, that we should get land for a home and be furnished with everything for 8 years. This was in President Polk's time. And since that time, we have been roaming about without a home, and nothing has been done for us. And we now ask the government to give us a home for the sake of our children, that they may learn something and get schooling, where we can believe in God and we can love each other. And that's just the first paragraph. And this letter, like I said, is in the National Archives. And that first paragraph summarizes everything that we have been doing our entire lives, that they were looking for, and what was taken, what was promised, and what still is owed.
Good people, thank you guys again, man, for tapping in. I'm blessed to be host Caleb Smith. Today we have a very special guest in the building. Shout out to my man Chief Sekou for coordinating this. Miss Denise, she is a direct descendant of John Horse's sister Wannah. So today we're gonna have a great conversation with the family, a real conversation about the true history. Right now, John Horse is a name that's somewhat trending online. And, you know, you see different accounts, different stories, but not directly from the source. So before we start this conversation, I want to deeply say thank you to Miss Denise for being open to share her family's story. Chief Sekou, again, for coordinating this as well. Miss Denise, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Starting off, how do you feel from seeing so many stories about John Horse? And I know most of them are probably inaccurate. From seeing these accounts, how does that make you feel from seeing other people tell his story?
Twofold. I'm happy that the story is getting more national attention, but at the same time, the misinformation or the inaccuracies are getting more prevalent. So I feel like there's a need for the family to come out and tell the true story of us and let people know that, one, we are the experts in our history.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, and to let people know our truth.
Yes, ma'am.
You know what it is for us.
Appreciate that love.
What do you think makes
Ray,
John
I like
Horse's
that jacket.
legacy so significant when it comes to when they try to number the Black indigenous Americans as well, and then for Black history as a whole? What do you think makes him so impactful?
The most impactful thing that I think people are amazed of it is that, one, I guess
get the lights
freedom
up.
that we were successful of maintaining our freedom. And I think the code word or the buzzword is it's Black. It has to be Black.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we won something against the oppressor. And as good as that may be, you know, buzzwords, it's much more significant than that.
Yes, ma'am.
It's deeper than that. Maintaining your freedom and the number of people who've done that is the most important part, because boiling it down to one person name is to me, in my opinion, insignificant, because the sheer amount of people that fought against the sheer amount of people that were, you know, resisting it was the key. And I think every person's name needs to be heard and told and remembered. And of course, John Horse is, like it says, my uncle, but he didn't do it alone. We are a village. We did it as one. And I think that's the most important thing to remember when you're talking about us as a people. We're a people.
Yes, ma'am.
We're not a person.
That's right.
And so,
Wannah, who was Wannah? What role did she serve in John Horse's life?
Wannah is his older sister that we know of. Now, there may be additional siblings, but in records, there is no document to that. And because of the trauma and the movements, the migration, you really don't get a sense to see if they had additional siblings. But Wannah in particular was instrumental, because she and her, alongside her brother, maintained that freedom because of the family, family unit that they shared. Her children, her husband, and at their time, he had maybe additional children. We don't know. That is not a proven fact. For us to get to that fact, the family is actively trying to prove that or validate that through DNA is our only tool now, because we can't do it through documents. And so with her being vulnerable as a woman, but as a mother of children, I think he being the younger brother felt a need to protect her as much as the people.
Right.
And so they worked together because their family needed to be protected.
Yes, ma'am. Growing up, what were those oral traditions, if you will, of John Horse and Wannah? What would you hear of the stories?
Well, interesting enough, you heard more about the Scouts than you heard about the John Horse and Wannah and Wildcat and them. And I'm gonna give you a little history about the Scouts.
Please.
So the Seminole Negro Indian Scouts were a group of the United States Army, regiment that they brought on in Texas when they had the Texas Wars.
Hey, y'all, get the likes up, y'all. Come on, get the likes up. Don't do that. Get the likes up. Share the videos at TikTok, X, Instagram, and all the other social media platforms, man. We got some Indian history, real Indian history going on. And then I'm going to be announcing the classes for April. Classes start in April. Man. So y'all be ready. Got some live shit coming.
In the 1800s. 1870 is when they came on to be Scouts, when they enlisted. Now, they were recruited because of their fighting abilities, not just against Indians, but in general, of any enemy. Our fighting abilities were superior, and that's why they recruited us, because we could help that. And so 1870 is when they were recruited, and once that happened, the history from them became the most notable part in our history. Okay. So it's almost like that was the beginning. Wow. And today in Texas, in Brackettville, Texas, we still have our annual Seminole Days in September that we celebrate, but it's mainly geared toward the Indian Scouts. Now, it's interesting because that growing up, knowing that part, feeling like that is the beginning is kind of awkward when you say that's not the beginning of our history. I mean, like, go further, 1800s, 1870 is a great start, but keep going, peel them layers. And once you do that, once you go, wait a minute, we were in Oklahoma, we're in Mexico, we're in Florida. And the family is like, what do you mean? We can't get past that 1870 mark.
That's right.
And once you start getting into why we were in Mexico, because my father is from Nacimiento, Mexico.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. That's
why we are Muskogos.
And
you keep asking that why, that picture just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
That's how we get to Wannah, right? So our stories for us and the family was so interesting because we falsely believed that there were no my last name is Vasquez, so the Vasquez line in Nacimiento. We falsely believed that we didn't have any ties to the Scouts because of that last name. There's no Scout named Vasquez. There's 150 men, no last name is Vasquez, until I started doing the research. And then I found that our uncle is on there, and his name is Santan Volkes is on there, Voskes. So, but it's actually Santana Vasquez. Wow. And nobody in the family realized that it was him, and this name had a misconnection. And then I said, wait a minute, Dad, we need to put this out to the family. We need to make sure that our whole family understands what's going on here. And then when I found him, I said, we need to do all of our lines, because your family line, every person matters. And once I heard that quote from Maya Angelou, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. Right. That's so powerful. So when I started going up the tree and started seeing all these different people and the different things that they've done, it made me think, okay, we need not just me and our family to know, our whole community needs to know.
That's right.
Each individual person had a life. They had a history. They had a whole significant role in our community. And how come we don't know it?
That's right. That's heavy.
Yeah.
Right now, Ms. Denise, on TikTok, it's this trending topic, right, of so-called Black people being honed in living in Mexico, having a long family history, hearing about your story as well. What led to that trail or that pathway to Mexico?
Well, if you read the books, you'll get a sense. But the main thing that led to Mexico was to maintain our freedom. So when we were tricked and told that we were going to get our freedom if we leave, or keep our freedom, not get our freedom. So that's a misnomer. People think that we traded one to get another. We were always free. So let that.
So it would be impossible for Seminole or Seminole to mean runaway or ex-slave. Seminole were free people. Shout out to Superior Mind in the building, man. Tell them about them Okini Creeks. Ain't no nigga, what handcuff, what? Nigga, we pushing the line. We the enforcers. We the people you got to deal with if it's a problem. And we know y'all don't want no problems. That's why she said in 1970 they came and got us because of our fighting abilities. Not just against the Plains Indians, or against everybody. So how the fuck, if I can whoop everybody, how a nigga gonna enslave me that I can whoop? Talk to him, mama.
At first,
I think her and my auntie have a great conversation. I think they'll have a nice bill.
Is that when we agreed to leave to maintain that freedom to go to Oklahoma, and when we were in Oklahoma for the 9 years that we were there, we saw that the government was not going to adhere to its promises. So since John Horse being John Horse and the community being the community, we saw the writing on the wall. This isn't going to work. So let's continue to maintain our freedom. And when Wildcat came up with the idea to go to Mexico, it seems feasible. Let's go. Let's continue our freedom. So that's what we did. And we packed up our community, our family, those who wanted to go, those who were able to go, and we left. Now the numbers are, I don't know. People get around this 300 number. I don't know, it's special maybe, but who knows? It could be 300. It could be more or less.
Right.
It's an okay round number, but the sheer fact that those 300 people agreed to get on the road and go with each other was pivotal, because it could have just been John Horse and Wannah and her kids and his wife. It could have just been them, but it wasn't. The whole community and his family, when you talk about family and extended family, came together and they said, yes, we're going to maintain our freedom. Let's go. And that's how we ended up in Mexico in 1852. So 1849, when we left Oklahoma, 1852 is when we got into Nacimiento, but 1850 when we got actually into Mexico. So once we got into Mexico, we had a little, of course, it's slavery time, and people are still trying to come after us because they, for whatever reason, think that we should be slaves. But we're adamant. We're going to keep our freedom. You're not going to take it from us. And so
I don't mean to stop, mama, but the reason is, so when she's speaking about Nacimiento and all these different places, you had a plan to make North Texas free land, and everything in South Texas was going to be enslaved. So that was a tactic that they ended up pushing, but we'll talk about that later. 1822 when they came in, 1836 Texas become a state. 1829 they fight for freedom down in that area, but then we're gonna see, like you said, 1850 when they get down there, and then we're gonna walk through those ports. So 50, just the 48 had just came, and we're about to go into the U.S. Mexican war, where they're gonna need our assistance. We're gonna play a crucial role in it. Along with the Buffalo Soldiers, we would be the descendants of them, and the Seminole Scouts that she's speaking about now be the predecessors or the blueprint.
Maintain that, and dealing with the government, the Mexican government said, we need you to get in a little further into Mexico so we can maintain that border. And that's when we got Nacimiento granted to live in Nacimiento.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'm talking
Oklahoma,
about
you hear about Black Wall Street, growing up, Trail of Tears, and from getting older, like I realized, hold on, these same people, could be indigenous to this very land as well. Do you think that people skip over that part of Black people, so-called Black people, just end up in Tulsa, Oklahoma sometimes?
I think so. Well, one, because for us, the skin tone and you're talking about complexion,
right?
For us in our community, we don't do color and complexion. We do community and culture. So we're not looking at what your color is, whatnot. It's more, are you a part of our community?
Right.
And that's what we hold on to. So I guess when we got into Oklahoma, it wasn't like, oh, we're Black people in Oklahoma. Our skin tone is Black. No, we're Seminoles in Oklahoma, still maintaining our culture, still maintaining our community. And again, America being America wants to stay on the complexion and the color. But the significance of that,
Renee,
I guess that spirit, I guess you want to say, is it lingers. It's still there. It was there when we were there. That just maintaining that spirit of freedom. I'm free, regardless of my complexion or color that you see. I'm staying on my culture and my community road.
Yes, ma'am.
So yes,
I gotta get down there.
We would hear stories about Harriet Tubman, of course, Nat Turner barely. But then
TP2 Live, what's up? What we doing? Where we going? Bracketville, which one closer? Nacimiento, Cohilia, Florida, the bitch. Where we going though, TP? We gotta fade one of them, We gotta, get up going out with Buffalo Soldier shit, man.
And John Horse, you're talking about somebody who led the largest enslaved revolt, what they try to say in history. Why do you think John Horse's story is whispered, but other stories are always spoken out loud?
Well, one, because we're successful. Anytime we're successful, anytime any person other than a white person is successful, the story has to be, whispered or deemed down or dumbed down. But because we are, in their minds, Black skinned, that we were successful. They can't have that. You can't have that, that we were successful against you. And then the sheer amount of people, you see, that's the key, is the number of people that went and had maintained their freedom. If it was just John Horse and Wildcat, we wouldn't even be talking today, right? It's the sheer amount of people, 300 plus people that they deem were to be not free, but maintain their freedom.
Yeah. How is that, to be deemed not free but still maintain their freedom? That's a contradiction.
Right.
It's a contradiction. That's why we have to change this Seminole, meaning runaways, maroons, or any of these other Afrocentric slave victim narrative. You cannot paint the Seminole as a victim because they were the muscle. Brother Chris, why would you feel the need to come in here and disrupt the bill? You come in here talking about everyone is African descent. Brother, you looking for some attention? You looking for some attention, Chris? Now I'm going to ask you, I'm not even going to just come out and say that you want some BS because I don't know. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be diplomatic and I'm going to ask. I don't like that flag. I'm just going to keep it gangster. I don't respect that flag at all. That flag do not represent us. That's some shit a nigga made up. Some shit he could have kept. Now, if you trace back your surname, it'll take you back to your correct family crest. You don't need to walk around here with some shit a nigga made up when you got your own. And see, that's what Black folks don't teach y'all. They'll rather give you an identity. Stop letting Black. They gave you Black. Then they gave you a flag to go with it. But none of it represents you. Them niggas can keep that shit, burn it, spit on it, piss on it, get that shit away from our people. That shit is poison.
I think it's comical because one, how dare you to decide whether I'm free or not free when I was already free. I'm already free. Like that to us was a misnomer.
That's right.
Like you're not going to come in and change our way of life just because you think you can. And we've proved it. When we're together, we're together.
That's right.
Seminole Wars 1, 2, and 3. When we're divided, we show that we can still do stuff when we're divided. We ended up in Mexico. We're Texas Indian Scouts. Our history just keeps going going.
That's right. Seminole Wars, the second Seminole War. Is it true that one was ended because of the death of John Horse's wife, or is that untrue?
See, I don't see in documents that could be the pinpoint thing, because again, there's so many moving pieces going on in a war. Can you say that one single event? Is it? I don't know that it can be. And now the scholars may differ, but to us in the family, the war didn't necessarily end. We agreed. We came to an agreement. You gave us a proposition. We thought it over and we agreed. You agreed that if we leave, we'll continue to maintain our freedom and we'll get land. Well, that wasn't what you intended. You told that lie to us. And once we left, you made sure that we won't get our freedom, or you'll try to take our freedom and we won't get land.
That's right.
So us being honorable people did the right thing in the agreement to adhere to the treaty, so to speak. And then we trusted the government to honor their word.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Yeah. As usual. Huh? Yes, ma'am. Reading the stories, doing research, why, when I see white historians mostly, that they refer to Seminoles such as John Horse, your family, as Black Seminoles and not just Seminoles? Why is it always this difference between Black
Let's answer to that.
Black Seminoles and then the regular Seminoles? Why is that always such a thing?
I think it's just because that's how we've been conditioned. You know, we're conditioned that the color is the most important component. And when you see us, even though we have variety of colors, the one thing that when they look at John Horse, if that picture is actually accurate of him, that his skin tone is a darker skin tone.
Right.
That's why they do it, black. And then now, as time has gone on, we have, got this sense of that Black is an empowering thing. So we have to make sure we put that first because, being Black is the foundation or the number one word. That's not just white historians, it's Black historians as well. And to me, I think there's this agenda because if I can separate you from the truth, your indigenous roots, then I can justify what I did to you.
You feel me?
That's in my opinion.
Right on.
And so as long as I can keep you Black, and in America being a slave country, then I can say, oh, well, I didn't have any loyalties to you. You don't have any rights. You didn't have any rights to the land.
Hello, I haven't saw this.
That's again a misnomer.
Hold on, can I get an amen? Because I haven't saw this. I wanted to watch it with y'all. Like she said, it ain't just white authors, Black authors, and I feel like it's an agenda behind it. Can I get an amen? Let the church say amen.
Because Seminole, the word itself, is mixed. It's the mixture of the three groups: indigenous, runaway slave, if you speak, but free Black people. And see, they say that really small. It's like a little small print. That free Black people, right? that little, and they fade it out there. That free part, and I'm like, that's the whole key. These three groups, all same freedom, right? Indigenous is free, free Black people's free, and then escaped slaves were what?
Man, what's up?
Free.
Yes.
So why do we need or have that I don't know what to call it, to put that black on there or their name
Freedmen, DC
is again to separate us from what is truly ours. But we as the community, it's not the color, it's culture and community. And that's what we stick on, that's what we stay on, that's what we'll die on. Culture and community, that's who we are.
That's great. Being free during those times, I could only imagine all the things that John Horse and his people had to go through. Your people. How fierce of a warrior was John Horse and also your people as well?
Oh, we were very fierce. Like I said, us maintaining our freedom. We had one skirmish, as we call when we went to Mexico. The Texas Rangers, everybody knows about them, right? Yeah, you'll hear that.
Baseball team as well.
Yeah,
into.
Right. But there's a little known story is when.
But North Texas, remember, North and South was made to be separate. South the North gonna rule the South as slaves. And then you get all that oil money. That's why them Rangers up there. That's why he spoke about the Texas team that's coming out the North. Let's walk.
When they tried to come get us in the 1800s, 1850s to get us from Mexico, that they got their butts whipped. And tails sent packing, but the story is not told that way in their history books. The story is told that the Mexican army, came in and there was just too many numbers for them to come get us, or they would have gotten us. No. I mean, it's the truth. I mean, we are fierce fighting people now, and if we've proven it in the Seminole Wars. You thought we just forgot those skills when we went to Oklahoma? No, those skills kept us free when we went to Mexico, and the Mexican government recognizes our skills and put us to work as the first border patrol. Wow. And people, it today is, it's more border patrol on this side, but we were the first border patrol. So, and then when we became scouts in the 1800s, our regiment is known to not lose a man in their history. In the 1870 to 1914, not one person was lost during battle. Wow. Now we've had deaths because people, different diseases and whatnot, but no one was lost in battle. And we have 4 Medal of Honor recipients in that group. The largest in one single group, 4. So I think we can prove that we were able to fight.
I heard she said they ain't lose a man, right? Just wanted to make that. Ran through 8 U.S. generals. What we doing? Then when we fought the natives, we ain't lose a man. What we doing? Drinking water out of cactuses and shit.
It speaks for itself.
Yes,
ma'am. Speaking about fights, battles, and wars, we hear about the Civil War, American Revolution, but not about the Seminole Wars. What occurred during the Seminole Wars? What happened during that time?
Well, a lot of battles happened during that time. Again, you got the Okeechobee battle with Taylor, General Taylor, I'm sorry, which became president. Then you got the Waxahachie battlefield, and which is, I think, so overlooked because it was only a 2-hour battle. Wow. It's 2 hours. 2 hours in your lifetime. Wow. 2 hours. And the significance in that was the sheer amount of opposition. It was like maybe 15, again, estimated numbers, 1,500 plus Army soldiers against 200 or less Seminoles, and mostly of those were women and children. And the significance of that is that my grandmother, again, is not Wannah. She was not there. In our community, we have lots of grandparents that are in this Seminole history. And my Bowlegs, my Payne grandparents were there. One of my grandmothers was 6 years old at Waxahachie battlefield on the ground with her parents, and her brothers and sisters, right, were there. And her future husband there as a child at that battle. And when I went there, it's in Fort Jupiter, it's in Jupiter, Florida. I went there this year, January, to the 185th Seminole reunion. it was so amazing because when you
I want
go home, so to speak, when you go put your feet where your ancestors' feet were, it's a powerful moment.
talk that talk, mom.
Powerful moment.
that
And
talk.
when I sat there and I knew,
I apologize, Queen Mother, for breaking your wisdom, but when you go put your feet, somebody left a comment under the video when we was at the mountains in Georgia, and they asked why we had our shoes off. Listen, family, shout out to Seven, he was in front of everybody, took his shoes off, and it's all on tape too. And then, I mean, without nobody saying nothing, everybody just, started doing it. And listen, man, when you go put your feet where your ancestors were, you can feel it. That's why I always say all the trips that I go on, yeah, it's cool, to go, but I'm going for the downloads. I'm going to go put my feet where my ancestors' feet was, and I'm going to say their names. I'm going to ask, the universe, to feel me, take me back there. You know what I'm saying? What happened? And so that's why I fast on my tours and shit. When I'm going, that's why I'm fasting, because I want it. If you go back to the Buddha, I know y'all read the Book of Tibet, different things like this here. You want to be in your purest form. When you enter a certain cenotes, you have to do a ritual. You got to ask the ancestor. I got a live recording. I don't play it because the dude that's there, he don't look like us. You know what I'm saying? But he going through the little practice though. You know what I'm saying? He got it down packed, and the way he break it down, no matter who giving the message, you're gonna understand you in a place that is sacred ground, and they're root. You know what I mean? If it is from spirits on you, you're gonna get it off you. And so, you do your little chance, they cover you with the smoke and all that type of shit. And then, nigga, you ask for entrance. You gotta ask. This in the ceremony, you have to ask, boom. And then you sit, boom, you do your shit, you take your little shot, and then, you on your go. You know what I'm saying? They grant you access. But let's walk, man. She just touched me when she said about putting, your feet on the ground where your ancestors stood, and you tap right back in. Shout out to TP2 Live. That nigga, they've been a lot of places. TP2 Live, I always used to joke with him about Buffalo Soldiers. Come to find out, he find his people in them Buffalo Soldiers. It's just spirit he had on him. Similar spirit. My nigga Superior. You know what I'm saying? Trees really a shock highlight to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it be just different shit. Like, you can feel the energy. But let's walk.
Because I know our history, that my grandparents were there. The goosebumps, are so significant. So I said, no, we got to go back and tell our relatives, our family, come here, experience this, see how, if this 2-hour battle went a different way, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
That's heavy. Yes, ma'am.
I would not be sitting here.
Yes, ma'am. From seeing stories being told in documentaries, whether it could be YouTube, social media, what are some missing links in the story of John Horace, Wannah, and your family as a whole?
I think the missing link is that, one, the indigenous part needs to really be, I guess, combined. Don't overlook it. Just because when you think Indian or you think indigenous or whatever term you want, that it has to be this idea or this photograph. Right. Indigenous is indigenous to the community, regardless of your color.
Talk to them.
And I think once we say that we're indigenous or we're part of that indigenous group, that somehow we're saying we're not Black, but that's not what we're saying. you know. And then when we're in Nacimiento, Mexico, when we're in Mexico, if we're saying you were born in Mexico, somehow I'm not black,
right?
Like that's no, it's not true. Yeah. So those cultures and those communities that we're a part of needs to be more, you know, talked about, because we're if you keep just saying black, that's one dimension, and we're not. We're very layered. We're very complex people, and have so many different aspects in our culture that were significant. But if you just lay on to just one part, black, then you're losing everything that I.
Shout out to Cam and OTK. They out there in Charleston, man. Finna go fuck with some thick ass white hoes.
To me, as makes our community.
Indigenous queens forever, snow bunnies never. Yeah, they out there with some thick ass white hoes out of Charleston on King Street.
In our culture, special.
Yes, ma'am. Andrew Jackson, Indian Removal Act, and laws, all of those things. What factors did those things play in the lives of John Horse and for Wannah as well, and your people?
Well, the significant thing was the loss of property, right? Our loss of property, because one, our freedom in our minds was never an issue. Like, we weren't going to lose it, you know, that we're going to maintain that.
Right.
But if we had to move, because that's a part of our culture, they've moved in Florida time and time again. It's okay, we can move, but our freedom we were not going to give up. So when we agreed to their terms, and then they did not adhere to their part of the bargain, we lost our community property. That is the most significant thing. And over time, and in John Horse's own words, again, he's the one speaking for the people, but the sentiment is the same. The people wanted their home life. Just, you know, like anyone, you want to just be able to live in your own home, with your freedom, and do your own life without anyone, you know, trying to come against you. That's all you wanted.
Yes, ma'am.
And we lost that once we moved or removed to Oklahoma. And we found that we regained that when we went to Mexico, because we have the land, we have the community there, that we were, you know, reunited with the land. But the longing for the loss of Florida lands, our homelands, never went away.
Wow.
Never went away. And so that was always the sentiment. I want to be back in my homeland of Florida. But that never happened. Never happened for my grandmother. It never happened for John Horse. In anyone in the community, really. You didn't come back. You didn't come back to Florida. And I think that was their main disappointment, that they weren't able to come back to the land.
Wow. You living in Florida right now, what sense of pride are you feeling, if you feel any sense of pride of being back in Florida right now?
Well, I feel elated because I was brought here. I didn't have any inclination that I would be in Florida.
Wow.
None whatsoever. I grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Wow.
And I was not thinking of Florida in any way. But my path has been ordained for me. And I was meant to come here to Florida. And every step in my life brought me here. And that's when I came here, it was, again, you are ordained. And I'm not the only one.
Hey, listen to me, family. I apologize. This is my last time stopping your wisdom, but you just hitting home so much. Listen, homie. So I got a 5th grade grandma, 6th grade her parent now, and they came out the Florida region, right? And so I wanted to go to Cancun. I had an opportunity to go to Cancun. I'm supposed to be in Cancun right now, but I wasn't feeling it. The only place I wanted to be, man, was Florida. I know I talked a lot of shit about everywhere I go. I be talking shit about y'all nigga shit, cause I'm from Houston, man. You know, home of the Cowboys, man, and Indians, man. But now, man, Florida, bro. I don't know, man. I don't know how to explain it. My soul, if I was gonna be anywhere, I wanted to be in Florida, bro. And that's why I ain't go nowhere. You know what I'm saying? if I couldn't be in Florida, I ain't want to go. That's what my soul just wanted to be at in this time right now, you know. So she just touched me with that.
One, my cousins are here. They're Payne family lines. Again, we're here. We've been brought here to Florida because our ancestors want us here, and they want us to continue to understand what has happened in our history, and we are the redemption or reclaiming, so to speak. And that's what I feel like I've done. I have come full circle for Wannah to come back here, and like it gives me goosebumps because like what else can you do to honor the ancestors is to go back to the land where they were and live a great life, right? Like that's what you should do.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, set it up, Jermaine. Set it up, man. And yeah, I want to talk to Miss Annie Lewis Lightfoot. Yeah, and I know some Lightfoots just through history, going through history. Lightfoots was major players in the game, merchants and everything, you know, landowners. Yeah, I ran across some Lightfoots in American history. Yeah.
The Paynes and the Bowlegs, what impact have they had on you of being part of that family lineage as well?
It's so funny. They're all equal, I guess you could say, because they all have the same spirit, that same resistance, that same love for freedom, and it's not just them; it's every layer. The Vasquez line, like I said, that's not a Seminole line. My grandfather, I'm not gonna say great because I'll tell you, I'll say grandfather. So he wanted freedom too, but he came as a kid to Mexico. He's a 10-year-old kid coming to Mexico. There's no inclination of like a 10-year-old, I'm gonna go get freedom. He didn't have that intention. He was 10 years old, an orphan. And
hold on, no, Miss Priestess Nefertiti. Nah, she made a correction earlier about the black part. She said that white historians and black historians are putting the black on the Seminole, and she feel like that it is basically, you know, by design that they're implicating. So she drew the line on that, you know. She not on the black Seminole tip. So she drew the line in the sand on that and let it be known that, because the guy asked, you know, what about white authors calling it black Seminole? And she said not only white authors but black authors are doing it, and she feel like that it's an agenda behind it. So yes, ma'am. That was early in the bill. She did draw a line in the sand and let it be known.
Ended up in
which side
Mexico
you on?
Because of many different events, and it's a long story, so I won't go into it here. But he ended up uniting or coming with the Seminole tribe there in Nacimiento, marrying into the family there, and having 13 kids who all intermarried with, again, all the Seminole tribe. So when you go to Nacimiento, there's 95% chance that you are a descendant in some way from the Vasquez family. You are related to us.
That's amazing. Yes, man. Growing up, what was life like for John Horse and Wannah as well? Growing up in Florida?
Yes, ma'am. It was free. You hear the stories about John Horse being a trickster, right? And I think which is so interesting is that they keep this slave connotation. If you buy into that connotation, the slave that they were slave, how can you be a trickster? Like you have this constant fear.
He would get in trouble.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
So why would he get out here when he knows you know you're gonna get in trouble?
Great observation.
Right. But why would he do that? That makes no sense. And so the sense to me, and again, the family, just the history and feeling the vibes of my family, there was no fear. We didn't have fear because we were free. So it's one plus one equals two, but
That's
you're
right.
trying to push in and say no, it's five. No, no, the slavery and the threat of slavery or re-enslavement. I love that re-enslavement. How can you be re-enslaved when you were never enslaved? But never. So that I think they're in the way I feel it and the way our community is that they were free and they lived a uncomplicated life, just living on the land, living day to day, building, doing their crops, doing the traditions that we do as indigenous people.
Yes, ma'am. During this time, we have cell phones, technologies everywhere, living on the land. It's crazy now because it's like the average man, if you ask them to create something in the woods, he wouldn't be able to build a home or start a fire, any of those things. How can we get back to reconnecting, if you will, with the land again?
Oh man, I don't know if we'll be able to.
It takes a while.
The technology is hard to put it down. That's a good one. That's a good one. Well, for us in our community, it's not as difficult because we haven't left it.
That's good. Yeah.
So because we're still maintaining that. I guess the ones that are on the outer edge, because we're all over the world now, you know. And for me, which is interesting, the growing up in Vegas, there's no farms like that. You're not gonna see a farm there.
Yes, ma'am.
But my path, my life has introduced me to a man who is he calls himself a farm boy, and country boy.
Yes, ma'am.
And his mother, his family line, they plant crops, and I'm looking at them, and it's interesting to see, but me and my aura, I guess that Vegas upbringing, I'm not getting out there. I'm not gonna do it.
Yes,
I do my shopping, the old fashioned way at the grocery store. That's how I do it.
Yes, ma'am. I get it. Growing up, what was life like being in that same breath, knowing the beautiful long line of great people that you came from? What was that like for you growing up?
For me, it was, I think it was just seamless because it's the same. When you're in Vegas, it's glitz and glam, and you're seeing all of these things that you could be, right? Because that's the moniker.
Right.
But same way what we did, we the maintaining of the freedom of our freedom is the same as if you feel when you get into the Vegas casino and you hear on all the lights and the little chingling, and you're like, oh, I got it. I'm excited. That's the same spirit we had in Nacimiento and Bracketville, Texas. And then when you go to these communities now, they would call small towns. And when you're in a small town, there's not a lot of economic stimulus like Vegas. Like when you go to Vegas, you're just dripping in money, right? When you go to Bracketville, there's no money dripping. Bracketville, there's no money dripping there.
Gotcha.
And when you go to Nacimiento, it's the same. But the riches aren't in money. It's not monetary. The riches is in the people, the culture, the spirit that got us there. Now that you cannot pay for. That's not a lottery win you're going to get, and you're not getting it at the casino.
John Horse, he was fearless. Your family, your grandmother, Wannah, everybody. How did your people, I would say, maintain that sense of being fearless all the way up to you today?
I think it's just inbred in us. That is born through and through. Through and through. And that was who we are, who we were then, who we are today, who our children are going to continue to be, because that's what we instill. I still instill that into my children and my grandchildren especially, and I can see it in them because our grandchildren, they put you through. But that's the stock they came in on. So I think that's just in our blood. That's who we are. That's who we always will be, have been. So.
Yes, ma'am. John Horse, what adversities and opposition did he and his people face from going to Oklahoma and then going down to Texas or to Mexico as well?
The same adversities is the culture. When the Seminole Wars hit, there was this, I guess it's we call it a separation. And to me is in community. Like I said, we keep talking community and culture. Now, when they introduced the color and the complexion because of money, see, that's the key. The money, that money part started separating us. Now, what's interesting in the family is that there's no word in the indigenous language for cousin, right?
Wow.
So
I know that.
yeah, right. So you got all these other words: mother, brother, sister, father, whatever. But cousin is not a word. And when you get in these cousin relationships, there's a distance that you feel okay that I can do bad stuff. And so when that colorism came in, and me and you could be cousins, and I'm fairer than you. Now I'm going to get money for you. So that moral turpitude is out the door.
Right.
And that's why I feel like that's what happened when we were removed. It was the cousin relationships that started getting influenced by money. And once I can get my money, I could care less about my cousins. For me in the community, my sole purpose is to put us cousins together, because we're the ones who's got to fix it. The cousins relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
And me and my cousins, even some that didn't know we were cousins, some that know we were cousins, and we all have very, very opinionated, things. But we are the ones. I tell my cousins that we are the generation from 65 to 40. This generation is the one that's got to fix it. If we don't fix it here, it's lost.
Yes, ma'am.
And we have the information. We have the financial ability.
That's right.
We have the education.
That's right.
To do it. That's us. We have the trifecta.
That's right.
And if we don't get it together, then it's going to be gone.
Yes, ma'am.
And our cousins, my cousins, we all have the same passion to get the history together, the truth of our history.
That's right. Colorism, what impact has that had on our psyche, somewhat, of us thinking, to your point earlier, always into this black and white, or to, oh, she's lighter than me, or I'm darker than her? How do we kind of break that chain somewhat, do you think?
Oh, I don't. It's the breaking of the chain to me is to get back to the family, to know that we're family. Because when you're a family, you treat each other differently. When you know your family, you believe in that family. But also at the same token, if you're that family member who has betrayed or done something bad, you become, it's that standoffish. And that way we can do those layers. And if the way that we break that again is to unite again around the family and cousins, again, that cousin relationship has to change. We have to start understanding and realizing that cousins are just as close to you as family as anyone else. So that's key. Yes, the cousins to get back to family.
During those times of moving and traveling from state to state, during those times, how was that on Wannah's life as well while she was with John Horse, if she was during those times?
Oh, she was there the whole time, which is interesting. That there's it was very difficult for her to leave Oklahoma. And it's a lesser known fact, or if you read in our history, you'll know that she lost 2 of her children.
Wow.
And they were taken into slavery and never heard from again. And for her to leave Oklahoma, knowing that she won't be able to have her 2 children with her, that's very powerful emotions to leave. And she had to deal with that. And to take her remaining children with her, and to live out her life in Mexico without them, with no possibility of seeing them again. And to me, I mean, I don't, as a mother, I mean, leaving your child to continue and live your life, that's unheard of. But you have other children you have to take care of, to make sure that they're free, that they don't fall into the same plight.
And people, man, through the journey, I just had so many people tell me to change my delivery. And, me listening to this beautiful queen, you got to understand, like, what brought me into this was my aunt, you know what I'm saying? Who's in her 60s, and, like, it's different. So, yeah, my passion, my drive, my ambition, you know what I'm saying? My will to win, my will to make sure that, I make a contribution to this paradigm, to this story that, it's gonna take all of us to tell, you did, and just making sure, I mean, Auntie say go get them, then you can't come back with no loss. Nah, fuck that. So yeah, man, this was a dope interview.
So for her, it's just a wound that never healed.
Mm-hmm.
She lost them. She lost in the children that she had to maintain them. Mm-hmm. She maintained those children, and when they came to be scouts in the 1870s later on, she was there with them in Texas. Mm-hmm. And then she lost another son. Wow. To a gun battle that was intended for her brother, but ended up hitting her son and killing him.
So yeah, I think I ran across something about, it was basically like I put it in these terms of understanding, like a mob boss. Some legal activities, and there was some people in that area who didn't want, the Seminoles in that area. And they kind of ran it. You know what I'm saying? They ran a lot of different operations, more like on the illegal side. And it was some, I ran across something about John Hoy's nephew or something like that. End up in the gunfight. And, even in the story of the past, and, I heard different stories on how he passed, I heard a story, based off of that story that, the individuals or the ops or the gang or the mob or whatever it was, the posse that, kind of ran that area right there, basically had it out for, John Hoyce. And, some people say he crossed over the line into Mexico, regular shit. And, didn't come back. And it was supposedly, some niggas from the other side, had something to do with it. Now, it's like I said, it's different stories, but that's what I thought about when she spoke about, I wasn't sure if she was talking about the nephew, his little kinfolk that died, because that did happen. I did run across some history on that. All right, so I think we'll go to an older, I guess I could call this an older, well, before we go there, let's get into some cowboy and Indian shit. Really.
Me my roses while I'm here. Don't wait till I up and disappear all night. My heart, and if I don't know that, the passion.
Called Reconstruction Era. Black Cowboys.
I always thought when I was growing up, I didn't know anybody but the Long Ranger and Roy Rogers. And kids now are beginning to know the history.
Cowboys have come from a long way.
I said at the beginning, the rodeo is the only reminder of the early West that we have left. And parts of the rodeo were invented by the Black Cowboys.
I always wanted a rodeo arena of my own. And I worked, and then after I got the rodeo arena, I said, well, I need the rodeo stock. I bought the rodeo stock. And I take it in and take them out to different places and rent them out. So, they have a show. So that was my way of life.
In 1866, shortly after the end of the Civil War, the United States Congress approved the creation of 2 African-American cavalry and 2 infantry regiments. These soldiers later became known as the Buffalo Soldiers.
I don't want to be nothing else but a cowboy. You know what I mean? And you had to be invited in through two of the cowboys that were already there, which had most of the time was 2 of the white cowboys who invited you in. That brought about some of the associations that were created by blacks, cowboys that worked on ranches, that were on actual working ranches, who created rodeos for themselves.
I mean, look at the custom that he wore, the scouting, the foods that they ate. Cowboys ate predominantly American Indian foods. They eat soul food, the barbecue, the grits, the cornbread, the beans, the chilies. Come on now. The music, from the zydeco to the jazz to the blues, which created country music, which created rock and roll, which created rhythm and blues that we listen to today.
In Chicago, I saw a sign that said Black Cowboy, the forgotten man of the West.
75% of the soldiers that settled this area were Buffalo soldiers. The only white men that were with them were the commanding officers. 75%. Almost all of the forts were manned and built by Buffalo soldiers.
So the issue of segregation in rodeos was true. So that made us have backyard rodeos, midnight rodeos, so to speak. And when we had midnight rodeos, I was taught to excel in whatever I tried to do.
That man was the cattleman. The black man was the cowboy. He used to say, hey, boy.
3/5 of the cowboys on the Chisholm Trail Drive, African-American cowboys. These are things, if you don't know, they go on unseen.
The guys that I've talked to that have told me about the rodeo back in the day when there was the Rodeo Cowboy Association, RCA, which is now known as the PRCA, and it was predominantly white.
I think what made me want to make this series was when you think about the culture of the American Indian, some would think of teepees or maybe even bow and arrows, things of this sort. I say, look at the cowboy.
And those that was around the country, they had to back their horse in the truck in the ditch like this here and jump the horse in the back of the truck to make it to a rodeo.
The Indian feared them because of his bravery and how he fought. The reason they called him the Buffalo Soldier, because of the texture of his hair and the dark, fierce eyes. The buffalo had the dark brown eyes and showed no fear. And the black man fought with such ferocity and showed no fear.
Coming up, we had one rodeo a year. That was on Easter Sunday. And the rest of the time, we was out on the ranch working cattle and stuff.
You are.
Bronco Bill.
Just happy to know that there's very many African Americans that are in the roping business.
Get it up. A lot of kids now, they don't know that is Black Cowboy. They think it's all white cowboy.
Black cowboys built the West. Black Indian culture still is the dominant culture, from the barbecue, the fried chicken, the fried fish, the seafood, the beans, the cowboy beans, the chilies that was made. I mean, come on, everything is there that indicates the presence of the Black Indian.
But when you think of a cowboy, you're probably picturing this.
So they would often make the cowboys in the books and the movies white, because a lot of white people would not go to see a movie or did not want to read a book about a black cowboy.
And so the image of the cowboy got whitewashed.
Whoa, God damn it, they can go get us copyrighted. We getting watched though. This Houston. That where Sherelle lit. Y'all say we don't trail ride in Houston. This Houston. Feel wild. Hey. Now my little cousin, he got shot 6 times. And they shut down. Every Sunday they had a trail ride in the ward. And my little cousin got shot. And they ended. Matter of fact, we was at my great grandma's funeral and just got his number. We bumped into each other, in the streets. I was a little older than him, but he was tripping on, he was like, damn, y'all, my cousin. He was tripping on that, just knowing a nigga through the streets, and so that we went and I think that next weekend he got shot, and that kind of ended the trail rides every weekend in Houston. But oh yeah. We can get it in too. This not just Houston. This I mixed it in. You got Louisiana in there. You got some of them goddamn East Texas Cowboys out there. Oh yeah. They gonna throw it back. Indians. Oh yeah. We've been line dancing before TikTok. We've been doing this before TikTok. Yeah, we've been line dancing before TikTok, man. Hey. Turn it up then. Huh? Ain't that what they do at the powwow? Ain't that hold on, go back. Ain't that how the natives try to dance at the powwow? Hold on, let me show you something. Ain't that what they try to do? You see how swift that was? Now bring it on in. Bring it on now. Come on. Let's work. Here they come. Yeah. I was female too. Yeah. Indian. That is American Indian phenotype. Stop playing. That is American Indian. When you see that, I mean, fuck the phenotype, the face. I'm talking about the energy that's giving off. Yeah, cowgirls, our cowgirls, they wear hats more than goddamn the men. You catch them down there, and they can change the oil, goddamn, drop the alternator out to the goddamn hood, nigga. Yeah, they do it all. Yeah, because the girls ain't get treated different than the boys. Yeah, the boys got it. All y'all gonna do it. Goddamn right. It's all right, yeah. It's all right. Oh yeah. We ain't everybody that's coming out there. Hey, I know hey man. Act food in them the new trail riders. Now they got the doolies out still with the coolers on the back and the old smoky back there. And yeah, the good sack of weed and a bunch of beer. It's all right, y'all. It's all right. And look at him showing out. Yeah, he got a little black European in him, though. Yeah, he got a little black European. He just hung out with his Indian cousins. Chunk it up. What's up? The old school and the new school. Second generation. Yeah, and school got the beer in his hand and everybody got a beer. And yes, Indian women drank beer too. Yeah, get out of our motherfucking business. Yeah, give me a beer too.
All the modern portrays of things, and they see white cavalrymen coming in and doing these things. With what they don't realize, the white cavalrymen did come, but after the Buffalo Soldier had paved the way for him, built the forts for him, built the houses, made the bridges, did the roads, did the work, and now it's so important so that their families will understand the hardships that these men went through and the pride that goes with it.
Black folks love country too. Actually, we started the country. We were country before country was cool.
Used to spend my nights out in a barroom.
Liquor was the only love I know.
You rescued me from reaching for the bottom
and brought me back from being too far gone.
You're as smooth
as Tennessee whiskey,
sweet strawberry wine.
Your reward is a glass of brandy. And honey, I
don't on your love all the time.
Bars. Fuck you talking about? Yeah, Big Indian. Yeah, Big Indian. What we doing? They say we ain't got no culture, man. What is we doing, man? I'm talking about, man, big as the Super Bowl. What my nigga No Sellout at, man? No Sellout, you ready to go to Rio now, huh? Shout out to Rio again for putting on the greatest show on earth. Shout out to Rio, Brazil, put on the greatest show on earth. And they represented that's going down in history. I'm talking about put it in their face. Big as the what? Big as the Super Bowl. The greatest show on earth. They was waiting. They said everybody finna come with it. We got some. Yeah, everybody finna do their thing. We about to do our thing. So we're gonna go into another bill. This is coming from Bethel Dukes Branch, Ancestry, and they're talking about Black Indians and Red Masters. Might be interesting.
24/7. In his many years of news reporting in the nation's capital, his focus has mainly been the District of Columbia government and life.
They bought him some cheap pussy out there. Judge Joe Brown told me to beware. He said, now the Brazilian woman, you gotta beware, they're dangerous. You get out there one of those Brazilian women, I'll tell you this. Now they're fantastic. Not too good on the fellatio. That's not really their strong point. But you get her nice, beautiful hair, beautiful skin, the sun glazes off of it, but she's raised in an environment in the world that the American man's mind may differ from. She could be, involved in sex trafficking, for funds, or prostitution, drugs, broken home on her own since 8 and 9 years old. And she may learn some techniques and experiences from the streets that will make her a very dangerous person. So the connection may not be mutual, as if you're looking for love and she's looking to break your bank and maybe even cut your throat in your sleep. And so I say to the Brazil women, sure, they're beautiful, fine, beautiful women, but very dangerous.
Working for CBS News at the time.
Mama,
and
look, it's a sad face, because this has a dent in it. This is a sad face for that.
And everything. And I said to him, I said, Chief, my family's all, they didn't have running water. And one of the things that the tribe was doing was trying to provide running water to this community. The people had to go to a well. I mean, they drive their cars and pickups to a well to get water to take home for whatever they had to have. So anyway, it was just interesting. Well, amongst the people while we were there that I was set to interview was the chief of the Cherokee Nation. And this chief's name was Ross Swimmer. So after we finished the interview and everything, I said to him, I said, Chief, my family's always been connected to the Cherokees. I said, see if you can find us in your roll book. And he went and looked through and he found my father, he found my grandmother, he found my aunt. He said they were on the Freedmen roll. And we said, Freedmen, what are Freedmen? He said, the former slaves. And I remember the crew that I had, I think they were from Chicago, they were wrapping up their equipment, and one of them stopped and said, what? You mean the Indians had slaves? And he said, well, it's not something we like to talk about, but yes, in fact, we did have slaves. So this was the first time I had heard anything about this. And this took place in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, which is the capital of the Cherokee Nation. Well, anyway, I am from southern Kansas, but my folks, my father was born in Oklahoma. His mother, my folks are from Oklahoma. Coffeyville, where I was born, is literally it's a border town. It's right on the Kansas and Oklahoma line. And I had relatives there. So I called my relatives in Kansas to tell them I was heading to Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and did we have any relatives there? And my cousin then said, yes, you do. And she gave me the number for Maurice Shepard, who's one of my cousins that lives in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. So anyway, after we finished the story with the chief, and he told me this thing that we were on the rolls for the Freedmen, that evening I went over to the home of my cousin, Maurice Shepard, and his wife had this book. And the book was called Red Over Black. It was written by Rudy Halliburton, whom you will see shortly, who was a professor of history at Northeastern State University in Tahlequah. He told this book, inside this book, was an interview done in the 1930s during the Depression when they needed to find work for writers. They assigned some of these writers to go find former slaves and to interview them about their lives and when they became free. And amongst those people that were interviewed was my great-grandmother, whose name was Phyllis Pettit, and her brother, Johnson Thompson. Now, I was a descendant of Phyllis, and this cousin I met, Maurice Shepard, was a descendant of Johnson Thompson. And I'd heard, family talk about, Uncle Johnson, that's what they call him. And I'd heard, they talk about Granny Phyllis, my grandmother. In fact, a good part of my life, I lived with her daughter, Tish. That was my grandmother, my father's mother. And a good part of my life, I lived with her, and she would talk about her mother sometimes. So, I was familiar with this Granny Phyllis. So there's a fascinating interview done by the WPA, these writers. And when my grandmother, my great-grandmother, talks about how she was a slave, she remembers, being a little girl when they were freed. And you'll again hear some of that as we move along. So anyway, that is the essence of it. That is how I sort of found out about it when this particular this article came out, and I was just fascinated. If you can imagine, you find out here's your great-grandmother you've heard about, and she's telling the story of being a slave and how they came to freedom and all that sort of thing. And so that is how it sort of began. Now, the other thing that's what's kind of interesting about this is that I knew we had a connection to the Cherokees because as a child growing up, both my mother and father's side, they talked about their, quote, Indian money. And what happened, of course, they were members of the Cherokee Nation. And whenever the government paid off the Cherokees, they got paid off too. And I didn't know exactly the origins of it or what it was all about, but I knew that, certain times, a couple of times, checks came from the U.S. government on behalf of citizens of the Cherokee Nation. So all of this will become clear to you as it became clear to me. We're going to start with a documentary piece I did 30 years ago. And what's interesting about this 31 years ago, what's interesting about this is that all these people are still alive 31 years later, except one, I forget exactly who it was, but anyway, the main people, my sister's still alive, she's 93, Maurice Shepard, my cousin's still alive, and in this first part, as I said, that's a wonderful thing, these people are still with us after all those years as we tell the story. So Eric, I guess we can get started. We're going to look at part one, and then we'll eventually get to a part two, but this is the story of, I called it the Black Slaves, Red Masters, and it aired on Channel 7 in, I guess, the year...
The following is a new 7 Black...
1990. That's it. Go ahead.
History Special, Black Slaves, Red Masters. Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Ford. Earlier this month in our... 7 Inside Reports, I took a personal journey to look at a largely unknown chapter of Black history when my ancestors and thousands of other Blacks were slaves, not of the whites, but of the Indians. Well, a lot of people responded who'd missed some of the segments and who wanted to know more about the subject. So today you'll see it all and more, and get your pencils. At the end, we'll have not a test, but an address and phone number where you can get more information.
Okay. In some cases, of the Seminole Nation, blacks held positions of the various nations, either the Cherokee Nation. In some cases, they were in the Creek territory. They were citizens of the Creek Nation, and the interesting thing about it was, like you didn't have to worry about sharecropping because, there was no private ownership of land. Indians didn't believe in that. Indians believed in that the land belonged to the nation. And so if you were a citizen of the nation, you just, found some land, started farming. It was that simple. And so it was helpful in terms of Black people not having to, kind of owe their soul to the company store or whatever. It gave a certain independence that Black people would not have if they were, say, in Alabama or Mississippi, if they didn't own their own land. And so that was one of the interesting parts of this story. And not as much in the Cherokee Nation, but you look at like some areas like the Creek Nation, there were Black politicians who were office holders, sub chiefs in some cases, of the Seminole Nation. Blacks held positions of authority. So that's interesting. One thing I always said about the Cherokees is it's a very white tribe. And when I say that, if you look back at the chief, the principal chief at the time of removal, when they were forced out of Georgia to go to Oklahoma, his name was John Ross. He was 7/8 white and 1/8 Indian. That gives you some idea. And I don't think he even spoke Cherokee very well. So a lot of these cases, these were like, let's say, fur traders who decided to move into the Indian country, married Indian women, had children, and these people were more, let's say, white in their mentality than they were Indian. And that's why you have, I think, a number of slaves inside the Cherokee Nation. Now, there were full-blood Indians who had slaves. So, but at the same time, I think that one of the kind of the pushing of this was these Indians who were, let's say, as much white or more white than Indian. And the Ross family was certainly that. My mother's family, they were slaves of the Rosses, and Ross had about 300 slaves, if you can believe that. And the Ross side of the family did not walk on the Trail of Tears because, like rich people, they were not going to risk having their slaves die on the trail. Ross's Landing, if you heard of a town called Chattanooga, Tennessee, that was called Ross's Landing then. And the Ross family put their slaves on boats at Chattanooga, and they came to Oklahoma by boat, and they did not die. But on the other hand, the Pettits on my father's side, they walked the trail with the tribe. So it's kind of an interesting mix there. But anyway, so Eric, are we waiting to the end for questions, or do we take a break here? And what are your thoughts?
You want to go to part 2 on the video, or you want to take questions?
I in the private ownership of land. And so they had to figure out who were the tribal members to split up the land. And they interviewed the Black people who were there, who had a legitimate claim to the land. To have a legitimate claim, you had to have been a slave of, one of these Cherokees who had a legitimate claim. And in the case of both sides of my family, there was no real issue. I mean, they knew about it. In fact, on my grandmother's side, if you talk about Phyllis Pettit, the woman that you saw, she married, her husband was named George Pettit. And at one point they said that his Cherokee master was his father. And then they crossed out the word father and wrote master. You literally.
Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? on the records, it say that his slave master, his Cherokee slave master, is actually who? His father. They came back and did what? They crossed out the father part and just put him as the master. So this whole time when we were saying, well, y'all got y'all names from y'all slave masters. Yeah, nigga, I'm named after my daddy. That's why the land belongs to us. That's why the slave master not on his deathbed and he getting closer to the Lord, so he want to repent and give the slaves the land. No, these is kids. And so we have a misunderstanding on what slavery was. But this is a bar if I ain't never heard a bar.
We see both words next to each other with father X'd out and master set next to it. But I often wondered if that was in fact his father. Because for me to have that much, after all these generations, to have that much Native American blood, he probably was.
Yes, he probably was.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. And please forgive me, I called you the wrong name, Mr. Ford.
Yeah, and y'all just call me Sam. That'll be real easy.
Sam.
Just Sam. All right.
Do we have another question before we go to the second part of his presentation? I see no hands raised.
Man, he dropped the cold ball right
well, Mr.
there.
Ford, we'll go to the second half of your presentation and probably generate some more questions. Thank you.
Okay.
That's a put it right in your face bar right there.
To anybody whose
ancestors after this.
Okay, I think proceeded and what followed them? The state of Oklahoma. And I want you to guess what was the first law that the state of Oklahoma passed. Senate Bill 1.
Talk to him.
Segregation.
Check.
And in fact, how do they determine segregation? Well, they said they had to determine, they said anybody whose ancestors came from Africa is Black.
Uh-oh.
Anybody whose ancestors did not come from Africa is white. And that was how they got the Indians, because the Indians became white as far as the Oklahoma government was concerned, so they could have segregation. But
hold on, man. Come on, bro. We gotta give it up for Sam Ford, man. Get it up for Sam Ford and give it up for Auntie with the Seminoles. Or we getting at work tonight. I'm gonna have to change this title. You feel me? I'm gonna have to change this title because the thing is, homie, it's just so separated. And like I said to the FBA niggas the other day, homie, it's all about having the right people. Any situation can work. You just have to have the right people. You feel me? You have to have the right people. And it's so scattered around, but brother just said some deep shit. Like you said, that law came, segregation came, and after that, guess what happened? The Indians became the whites and we became the Africans.
That's how they did that. And so as I said, it's interesting, interesting thing. But the first thing they did as soon as they got control was to pass segregation and Senate Bill 1. That's what it was.
Senate Bill 1.
Ms. Jones, I don't know if you want to start the Q&A, but
Yes, thank you so much for your presentation. That was very good. I wanted to know if you came across the name of William Jernigan. He was a Baptist minister born in Missoula'ville, Mississippi, and eventually goes to Oklahoma. And he testified before the Senate against having Oklahoma enter as a Jim Crow state, he called it, in 1912. So I heard one of your ancestors being a Baptist minister coming to Washington would have been rather profound because the National Baptist Convention was very strong at that time in the
that was, of course, this was, it was 1912. This all took place in 1906. So, it was a fait accompli by 1912.
Yeah, they were fighting for it. I mean, since probably the 1890s against the state being admitted.
Yeah, there were people who were upset by it. So upset. There was one group that was really interesting. They were so upset by it, they moved out of the United States. And there is like a Black colony in Saskatchewan, Canada. these were people who came from Oklahoma. And once this, these segregation laws started being passed, they just wanted to get out of there. And I understand they still have descendants up in Canada to this day.
Awesome for our genealogists. Great. So I see Darnella Davis has her hand raised. If she'd like to unmute herself and possibly turn her camera on. We are recording, by the way, so it's up to you.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks, Sam, for a great presentation. I've had the privilege of speaking at this event before, and I noticed that you showed a picture of my great-great-grandfather and his two sons during the second part of your presentation. There's a cluster of a couple of rows of gentlemen who are Creek, and I wondered if you knew about that photograph, because as I'm sure you could speak to, there seems to be a lot of good information and doubtful information surrounding who can claim their citizenship. And so the picture that you showed is often referred to as a council meeting, but in fact what it was it was taken when the first oil strike was made in the state of Oklahoma, and my great-great-grandfather was then headed the Adams and Sapulpa Mining Company, and he had hired two prospectors, the Heydrich brothers, from Pennsylvania, and those are the two whites in the photograph, to prospect for oil, and they had made the first oil strike. I think it was 1904. And so
hey, get some flames in here. Get some flames in here. Get some flames in here. And you see, like I say, homie, it was gone. You feel me? Either be genealogy or nothing. We offer history. We done with the master teacher shit. Either you gonna find yourself in the story. Once you find yourself in the story, and then we get amongst each other and we get to talking about our testimonies and our families and their journeys, we get to running the cross. This lady sitting on the bill had no idea that the lecturer of the night was gonna talk about her family. And guess what? She ain't just recognize her family. She got the information. She know who she is and where she is in the story. This is what it's all about. This is real American Indian shit. We're not trying to hear nothing about we spoke Paleo Hebrew. We're not trying to hear nothing about we to commit. Like a lot of this, no knock to none of that. We're not trying to hear no haplo groups and all this percent. We not on that. And I'm not knocking nobody who will do your thing, but when I say when you talking about authentic, the real deal, the line that we've been pushing since we came, because this is how I got it. From my auntie telling stories like this, knowing what she had in the story, showing me where I'm at in the story. And so that became my message to the world, homie. Don't read all them books, because I done read out so many books, man, and nigga, none of that shit there hit like this here hit. Once you find where you are in the story and we get to telling about our family story, we fuck around on crowd path somewhere, and we're speaking about real American history. So like she said, the picture today in the National Archives, that motherfucker got a whole different scenario than really what happened, and they put the YT man in power and not even understanding that it was the Creek Indians who brought him out down there to come and check for the oil, and they got the first oil strike. But that ain't they oil. That's them. That's come on, family. So this is why this is important. This is real Indian history. I don't know all that other shit niggas be talking. That what, man. That what.
So that photograph has been mislabeled and misunderstood in a number of examples, and it's often shown to show how Creeks looked black or were intermarried, and that may have been the point of your use of it, to show that blacks, in fact, as you noted, were involved in in the politics and held office because my great-great-grandfather was actually in the House of Warriors for the nation and was also the Chief Justice for Muskogee Nation. So
Hey, brother Tavion, that's not true. John Ross was not a white boy. His daddy name is Daniel Ross. He met his Daniel Ross met his wife. He was the daughter of John McDonald, who was a Jacobite. Daniel Ross came down from Philadelphia. He was trading with the shoutouts, bumped into the Chickamaugas. They were jackers, but they hung at John McDonald's store. When he brought him in, he noticed he was a Sky. He brought him in and he let him marry his daughter. They went on a play, but Daniel Ross ended up switching sides on him, and he went to DC, got into politics because he come from a royal family. His name was the White Swan. That was his code name, his spot name for George Washington. His uncle them and his bloodline is what made him chief. They didn't just put him there. Well, the U.S. structured it for it to go that way, but he did have right to his position through his bloodline, but it was crooked. His grandfather, John McDonald, hung with the Chickamaugas. He went down to become a Spanish agent in Florida and helped issue out a lot of the weaponry that was used in the battles between us and Jackson and on Andrew Jackson fraction that came down. So it's a whole nother story. But I had the boat records where Daniel Ross came on. He was 5'6", and he was swarthy complexion. These are not YT people. But that's just a little news. All of that information on the Platinum Pack too, man. Go get you a Platinum Pack, man, and go through some of them old bills. Nigga, we walking all of that shit down. I'm gonna show you the records, the whole breakdown.
I'd love to hear what your thoughts in relation to that particular item that you presented. Thank you.
Well, okay. Now, is Davis your Oklahoma name, or is that
Davis,
Oklahoma?
Now, Davis, we've met before very briefly. I've heard you.
He didn't migrate. He got captured in the war, family. He didn't migrate from Scotland. He got captured in the war. They were Jacobites. So he got brought. He was in the indentured servant. That's why he went to Philadelphia, but he made his way down to Tennessee because he was a trader, meaning Indian trader. You know, he was looking to hustle. But you got to look into who the family is. Another thing, you got to look what Scotland is. Scotland is, they're not talking about Scotland that's in Europe. Europe is made up of 28 to 30 islands. Europe is an island. That's why they having these conversations about NATO and them protecting themselves against Russia right now, because they're not a large land or continent like we are. They are a conglomeration of islands. No one comes from islands. People come from continents, not islands. Europe is 28 to 30 islands put together. Texas is bigger than the UK. They're not talking about their Scotland. Bloodlines of the Guard 6, I'm going to make it make sense, though. But shout out to the homie Tavion, man. But go watch some of them old bills. You'll get that 2021 shit like that. Go watch those. And this specific topic you talking about, I'm going to walk you down detail by detail through it.
You speak before. And Davis is from the Cherokee side of my family. My family is also descended from Cherokee freedmen.
Nova Scotia is New Scotland. Originally, it wasn't Scotland. It became New Scotland after 1763 Treaty of Paris, when the British took it over. Like Quebec became British Quebec. Then you get Nova Scotia or New Scotland. But that's not going to be it neither. But I'm going to show y'all Bloodlines of the Guard 6.
But my tribal affiliation is through my mother, who's Muskogee Creek.
Okay, because there was a gentleman named Napoleon Davis who was building a shrine out there, black man, And that's why I was just wondering if you were related to him. In terms of those photos, the only thing I can tell you, is it's been 30 years. I'm sure that my interest was in demonstrating, and I assume that was the government part, demonstrating that there were blacks elected to office at that point. And I'm sure I got that out of the book by Professor Littlefield called Africans and Creeks. Yeah.
Thank you.
Before you tip off, Ms. Davis, could you share the title of your book? We had her do a book talk, and she did something along the same lines of you looking at triracial persons. Could you share the title of your book?
I'll just show the book. It's right here. It's called Untangling a Red, White, and Black Heritage, A Personal History of the Allotment Era. It's with University of New Mexico Press.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. What I can see...
allotment. One thing I was going to say about allotments, that was an allotment meant your piece of land, okay, wherever your land was. And what was so bizarre to me was how they split the land up. It wasn't like they would necessarily give you 60 acres they might give you 10 here, 2 here. And I remember seeing a piece of land of my great grandmother, 1 square mile of land, or 1 acre of land somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, how does something like this happen? But it happens.
Interesting point, because I know that there has been some discussion of retroceding lands back to Native persons recently in various parts of eastern Oklahoma. Has that impacted any of your descendants or your land that you still own?
No, not really. But, one of the kind of the interesting kind of family stories is, my father was very much a person who liked to be outdoors. He was a hunter, he was a fisher. I think growing up in southern Kansas, about 1/3 of the food that we ate when I was a kid growing up was something he shot or caught. When he died, all of our folks would go back down to this. You saw the old church and the cemetery that I was doing standing up talking in. Well, that was a tradition. The old Fords all went down 140 miles south of this cemetery. And so my father, when he died, I'd come home from, I was in Minnesota at the time. I'd come home and a bunch of his old buddies came over and said, Sam told us that when he died, he wanted to be buried at Hickory Creek. And I said, okay. I was very familiar with Hickory Creek. It was this old cemetery that was pretty unkept, it was overgrown. And I remember as a church group, as a kid, we used to go there to cut the grass because the cemetery wasn't very well maintained. And so we went there, and that's where we buried him. And I have to tell you this story. We never buried anybody down there before. And so I called the funeral director. I said, well, Mr. Roderick, he wants to be buried at Hickory Creek. And Mr. Roderick said, okay, I'll look into it. So he called me back and he says, well, you can't buy 1 grave down there. You've got to buy 2. It's 2 for $5, and the county digs the grave free. And I said, well, my father always could find a bargain. So that's where we buried him. And my uncle died the next year, and we buried him right next to him. And I noticed in recent years, the Cherokee Nation has put up a big sign there, claiming the ancestry of their people in this black cemetery. So it was interesting to see that happen. But
2 for $5. Wow!
But it was 2 for $5, and the county digs the grave free.
Yeah, wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Have you thought to really expand this into something in terms of a mini documentary and partner with a university or college to?
Not really. I mean, again, this is something I did 31 years ago, almost 32 years ago. So it was something that was fascinating. I wanted to tell the story, told it, and pretty much haven't done a whole lot since. Now, in the years since, there have been issues that have come up, particularly with some of the Cherokees who kicked us out of the tribe. I mean, they said, okay, we're going to have a referendum to kick the black people out of the tribe. Well, okay. I mean, the attitude, I guess, of a lot of them who didn't even know anything about the history of the tribe was, well, why don't we have blacks in the tribe anyway? And why don't we, if they're out, there's more for the rest of us. If the government gives money or whatever. So there was that attitude. It was a really kind of nasty attitude. And they had like you'd have some kind of vote around here, and they voted us out of the tribe. The good thing happened. President Obama said, well, the treaty between us and the Cherokee Nation says that the descendants of the slaves are members of the tribe. So if they're not going to be part of the tribe, we're not sending you your $52 million. So suddenly,
no, hold on, man. This brother is spitting. Did y'all hear what he just said? Listen, you want to know why they're back and forth in Washington? The 1866 treaty is a motherfucker. They put down in there. Hold on. We don't want to talk about it. Hold on. Go get it, Chief. Where is it? Go get it. Go get it right now. So he said something very interesting. And I want y'all to catch, like earlier he made the joke that when they passed the law, the first law they passed was segregation, and the Indians became YTs. So now he came back and he brought up about the Cherokee. And he talked about how they wanted to get in the tribe, and the people was like, y'all niggas ain't coming up in here. And so then the government came with some money. Hold on. Let me get over here. Hold on, I just want to say y'all real quick. Y'all remember this right here? Old school. How long y'all been around BCU? Y'all remember that right there? The making of the Cherokee. Big Chief and Kiki. Kiki said, Chief, I don't want to teach no more. I want to do genealogy. God damn it. So we got into the genealogy. But let's go down here as we go through the sources and all that shit there in the back. But let's go here because this is very important. On August the 30th, 2017, so Hannon approved a new constitution. Hold on. On August 30, 2017, the Federal District Court in Cherokee Nation versus Nash ruled that the Treaty of 1866 gave Cherokee freedmen a right to citizenship in the Cherokee Nation that is coexistent with the right of Native Cherokees on February 22nd, 2021. The Cherokee Nation Supreme Court ruled what? That the opinion in the Nash was binding on the Cherokee Nation and unanimously held the Treaty of 1866 placed limits on the nation government. The 1866 treaty placed limits on the nation's government. Why? Such that any cause to amend the nation's constitution, listen, family, or pass other laws solely to deny freedmen descendants the rights of Cherokee citizenship shall never be law. This is what the ancestors wrote in the treaty. So when we come sitting at the table, you're not talking to somebody that's in an inferior position. These are strong words, homie. If we're if we're negotiating, and on my side, I make sure that I get in the blueprint that there never can be a law that's passed to deny freedmen the citizens' rights of Cherokee citizens. That should never be law. And so in February 2021, the Cherokee Nations Report ruled that the opinion was binding Cherokee Nation and held that the Treaty of 1866 placed limits on the nation and government, such as any cause to amend the nation's constitution. You cannot come back and change the constitution. It said what it said. And that's why it's important for niggas to know what they at in the story. Damn, did y'all see it? Was my screen saying? Yeah, that's why you need for people to know they in the story. Now watch this. Watch what OG say. He finna say something cold. Listen to him.
The good thing happened. President Obama said, well, the treaty between us and the Cherokee Nation says that the descendants of the slaves are members of the tribe. So if they're not going to be part of the tribe, we're not sending you your $52 million.
Huh? President Obama said in the law, it states that these people y'all try to call freedmen or try to make y'all slaves under y'all and say that they never were really part of the tribe. Well, there's by law, because this wasn't just a treaty, this was a constitution. This was a constitution. If it was a law, they could change the law. Can I get an amen? You can change the law. You can change the code, but they can't change the Constitution. Why do we get the Constitution? Because we helped the Union win what's called the Civil War. And after that, we sat at the negotiation table. And this is what our ancestors put in law to protect us, not just for then, but for generations. And it still upholds today. So you know what Obama tell him? Obama say, well, okay, well, check this out. We're holding in trust $52 million that is said to belong to the Cherokee Nation. Now there's a problem here, because y'all called a few times asking about the money. Now I want to mention this. All of those 5 tribes have money in the bank, or we'll say 4. The Creek, Choctaw, Chickasaw, all of them got money. The U.S. got money in the trust. 52 million, y'all heard him. And he said, okay, now I'm looking at the work now. If the freedmen aren't going to be granted the citizenship, which is their right in their constitution that they're protected by, then we cannot legally release this money out of trust to you. Now, what do that sound like? That sound like that's not their money. That sound like it's actually our money. The only way you can get this money if these people are put in their proper position, and then I can hand it over to the Cherokee, even though I won't be handed over to the rightful owners. But you have to fix your situation. They can't be a slave because the inheritance goes to them, not to you. So they're gonna have to be included, even if you're gonna play a superior role and dictate where the money is gonna go. They're gonna have to legally be called Cherokee citizens, and that freedmen shit gotta be erased. They can no longer be looked at outside of a Cherokee or as a slave, because those are outside of the guidelines of the Constitution that they signed. And the Cherokee let them in, and guess what? The Cherokee got $52 million. The Creek, the Chickasaw, they've been running back and forth. The Choctaw, they've been running back and forth to Washington saying they want to ban the 1866 Constitution. But they cannot, because as we just read, our ancestors put it in law that no man could ever come back ever and make it law or ever deny them citizenship. Niggas talking about ain't no retribution, ain't no reconciliation, ain't nothing you can get out of this Indian shit, not even understanding. Those of us that were on this side of the Mississippi, that was on this side of the history of America, because we was considered Indian territory. We was considered the Wild Wild West, the ain't no law of the land. You feel me? And so, yeah, that's where that Constitution came in. And that's why the Creek ain't got their money. That's why they mad. That's why the Choctaw ain't got their money. And that's why the Chickasaw ain't got their money. And the government cannot legally give it to them because it's bound by law, like the Cherokee and Nash judge, Cherokee Supreme Court ruled, which was right. And it might not be the decision they wanted to do. But guess what? Congress, the president, and goddamn Supreme Court was looking over them and saying, nigga, the Constitution is the Constitution. Bars.
if you know, come up, particularly with some of the Cherokees who kicked us out of the tribe. I mean, they had this. They said, "Okay, we're going to have a referendum to kick the black people out of the tribe." Well, okay. I mean, you know, the attitude, I guess, of a lot of them who didn't even know anything about the history of the tribe was, "Well, why don't we have blacks in the tribe anyway? And why don't we?" You know, if they're out, there's more for the rest of us. If you know, if you know, the government gives money or whatever. So there was that attitude. It was a really kind of nasty attitude. And they had you know, like you'd have some kind of vote around here, and they voted us out of the tribe. You know, the good thing happened. President Obama said, well, the treaty between us and the Cherokee Nation says that the descendants of the slaves are members of the tribe. So if they're not going to be part of the tribe, we're not sending you your $52 million. So suddenly the Cherokees were like, oh, wait a minute. So suddenly we were back in the tribe. Wow. I kept getting these letters here in DC, sometimes saying, okay, we kicked you out. And then, oh no, we changed our mind. Anyway, it went on like that for a while. And what we did, apparently you can't sue the tribe, but you could sue the US government for going along with something like that or allowing something like that to happen. There's this woman, her name is Marilyn Van. And for years, she was an employee of the federal government in the area of particularly of oil wells, things like that.
Yeah, for 48 years. We're familiar with Miss Van. The Van family were the largest Cherokee slave owners in Indian slavery history.
And I mean, she was part of the Department of Energy. Anyway, Marilyn, as she came near retirement, dedicated herself to this issue. She fought in the courts. And the interesting thing is, we got pro bono lawyers, we got help here in DC, and the guy that wanted to kick us out, you know, and lose this money, the Cherokees turned on him, right? And they voted him out of office.
Uh-oh.
And then they put in office a man named Bill John Baker.
Mm-hmm.
And so Bill John Baker said, okay, this case is going to court. However it is decided, that's what we accepted. And
this is real Indian history. Let's walk.
So because I live in DC, that gave them the authority to file in DC. They didn't want to file in Oklahoma courts, which, Oklahoma courts, Oklahoma justice. They decided they wanted to file in Washington, D.C., which, is certainly an important part of any kind of legal decision. They filed in federal court here in Washington. Judge Thomas Hogan, who was, I guess, semi-retired at the time, he took up the case. And he had never heard this story either. It was kind of interesting because I've covered cases before Judge Hogan before. Judge Hogan was absolutely fascinated by this whole story. And so he took the case. And I thought, okay, we'll get a judgment here pretty soon. Well, it took 3 years before we got a judgment. But when we got a judgment, it was in our favor. And basically, the treaty said that we would have all the rights of Native Cherokees, period. I mean, it didn't say, until this year or that year or whatever. And so
they say we had no masters or we had to be servants under other people that don't look like us. It never said that. Where is this coming from? That's the 20th century trick bag. And niggas out here riding with we not the real Indians. Bro, it's too many people got too many real stories. And when they took it to court, this is the result. So the Creek, the Chickasaw, and the Choctaw, they're having a problem right now because they can't get past that 1866 treaty, which is really 1866 Constitution. That's why they countered it and offered the 14th Amendment.
That says the treaty is still in effect. And so given that, he ruled in our favor. And Bill John Baker, who was the chief at the time, said, well, we said whatever they said, we were going to accept it. And so on this month of November, I think it was November the 11th, I can't remember if it's 3 years or 4 years or 5 years ago, after this decision, they had a dinner in Tulsa. And I flew out to Tulsa. And one of my cousins lives in Boston, flew out to Tulsa. And, different people came. And we had a dinner of reconciliation between the Freedmen and the tribe, the people that run the tribe today. We had a dinner together and said, we're one nation. This is over. Let's move forward. And that is what has happened since. And what happens oftentimes is the stimulus money. The Indian tribes got stimulus money to use for its people. The Cherokee Nation got so much money that Chief Hoskins, the current chief, announced that they were going to give $2,000 to every member of the tribe. And so I got my 2,000. Everybody got their everybody in our family got their $2,000. And so again, we were moving forward, and so far the people who are, let's say, who are for unity, they are running the tribe. But one election could change anything. You never know.
As in any government, nation, sovereigns, what have you.
Sure. Yeah.
Quick question. There was a question in the chat about the photographs. Are the photographs from any particular location that you remember so people could go and look at them extensively? Are they online?
They were all over the place. I spent a lot of time in the National Archives, just going through photographs. You saw some of them had holes punched in them and stuff like that. I was going for the information, not for the beauty necessarily. So, but I went to archives. Just anywhere I could find these pictures. Sometimes in old books. It was. As I said, it was just wherever you could find the information, and sometimes it was really kind of interesting. I'm kind of a pack rat. I wish I weren't, but I'd save a lot of stuff. And I remember at one point in my journey trying to find the story out, I was interested. You noticed the 1st Kansas Colored Regiment. I don't know if you noticed those soldiers. I wanted to know more about them.
Turn up.
And so I was looking in some histories at the DC library, and this one history that was supposed to be on an era said that that the blacks didn't do anything of any significance out there. That they would run when the first that kind of stuff. So I'm reading this in this book, and I got depressed I'm writing this story, and I remember walking home, or I think I walked home, from the public library downtown on Martin Luther King, and just kind of being depressed about this. And I'm sitting here in the house, kind of thinking about this. And then in the back of my mind, it says, you've got something on this, right? Something on this you saved. Well, years ago, I had been at the Kansas Historical Society in Topeka, and they had this pamphlet called the Kansas Colored Regiments. And I went digging in my bookshelf, and I pulled out this pamphlet, which had all these newspaper clippings from that era and interviews with the generals from that era, talking about how wonderful these colored troops were. Now, here is the information from that day versus some history book I found in the DC library. And I said, this is credible here. This is they're quoting, the general by name. And so suddenly I wasn't so upset anymore. And that's how I ended up describing it as I did in the first Kansas Colored Regiment won the day. And in fact, they chased the Confederates from Honey Springs, Oklahoma, back to Texas. Okay. But again, reading this one book, I was thinking that it hadn't happened. But again, as you're working on things like this, and as I said, I can still remember being depressed and then finding out the truth and being so happy and continuing with the video. And the video that you saw, that battle going on, we mean Channel 7 has an affiliate in Tulsa, Channel 8. And they had done some stories on it, and they provided me that video. So, I got video, pictures, and just anywhere and everywhere I could, just collecting stuff and then trying to put it together.
Well, thank you so very much. I don't see any additional questions. Last opportunity for questions. But as a historian, and I trained in journalism, so we call journalists the first draft historian. So we have to thank you for that. We have a question from Adrienne Fikes, if she wants to unmute herself, and that'll be our last question.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is really interesting. Thank you for this information. I'm curious, you're talking about the history that was in this book versus the documents that you had, the dinner of coming together in unity. I'm interested to hear what you can say about the kind of friction that seems to exist between calls for unity and the actual Black liberation, Black freedom, like equity, justice, and how are those sometimes competing ideas of let's all get together and move forward versus let's address how this has evolved into harm. How is that playing out?
You're talking about Black people who want to do something, or you're talking about Indian people?
Specifically within your group, the dynamic. What's really interesting is the dynamic between Indian people and African people, and then there are many people who have both ancestries.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested to see how because both groups have done harm to each other, and within your group, how are you addressing and reconciling that harm, or is it just moving forward?
Well, I think we're moving forward. And, one thing, we don't really know each other. I mean, it's not like we're dealing with these folks on a daily basis. I have met, for example, Chief Hoskins. The Cherokees, they move around the country, and they try to bring their people together. For example, they came here to Washington, and they let members of the tribe know that they were here in Washington, and to come to the American Indian Museum and get your ID card. So that was one of the things. If y'all have half a second, I can go grab mine and just show you what it was. I'll be right back. I know exactly where it's at. But anyway, that was one of the things Hoskins. He personally. You can see it's a card. He personally put this together for me, and they came to Washington. And any of the tribal members, if you wanted an ID card, they put it together for you, and sit down and talk to the chief. And that was the idea, is to, I guess, do this. And then they came to, they went to Atlanta. My son lives in Atlanta, and they came down. He got his ID card, because they were in Atlanta. And they let people know, through the grapevine that they would be in town. So the current group, we're part of the tribe. They're welcoming. They want this to be. This is what they want. But there's some groups who are the Creeks have kicked the blacks out of the tribe. The Seminoles have kicked the blacks out of the tribe. And then you got the Choctaws and Chickasaws. I don't know much about them, but and the Seminole Nation, the Seminole thing really gets me because it's not like that. There is no language of Seminole, right? There is no, the Seminoles were a group of people who got together, blacks and Indians, to fight the United States. So these people came from different tribes, and the Seminole Nation is made up of what? Bands, right? And it's 14 bands, 12 Indian bands, and 2 black bands. And it always has been that. So the fact that they would today kick the blacks out of the tribe is something that's obviously concerning, and the black people need to fight it. But in many cases, they don't have the resources. They don't have somebody like Marilyn Vann, who is willing to go toe to toe with people in court. And by doing that, we got our rights back. But some of the groups have not.
Thank you for sharing that context. I think that's great in terms of looking at the differences of how tribal affiliations vary from state to state or nation to nation. So I want to thank you very much, Mr. Ford, for your enlightening presentation. There are several.
Y'all get some flames in the chat. That was a cool little bill. Very, very informational. In certain points. But I think it's good, to hear people know where they are in the story. You know what I mean? And that's the whole goal. You feel me? Knowing where you at in the story. Man, appreciate y'all pulling up. It's getting late. But we gonna stay great. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool. That's my motherfucking time. As long as we got each other, we don't need nobody else. Big Indian shit. I'm gone.
I'm loving that body and listen. I'm loving the spider and check. I know you got tested me late.
Fuck with me and I'm fucking with you, and this shit getting deep. I don't know what to do. Should I keep this shit play or keep this shit cool? One like the little nigga, go with your move. No cap, I ain't never helped it. Look at my eyes and eat it up better than you. Not to mention you get wet as a pool. Put me to sleep and they cookies and food. Her face expression say she thinking too hard, and I can just tell by the vibe. What's wrong? She wanna fuck with me. I'm knowing she scared. She say she don't want no surprise. Me either ain't nobody business. Soon as she see me, them needs get the business. Deep stroke, 3-1 minute. I don't feel I can't even finish her sentence. Treat it like a pacifier. Put me in your mouth like you teething. I'm digging in and she using the rolls. Gonna fuck around and start breathing. What you want when you hit? Let's go. What you doing tonight? What's up? On you. Wherever we at, we be dropping the low. We be telling each other pull up. This shit got serious. This new situation got me gone. We been at it for a minute. I know it's wrong though. I could just leave alone. I had to double back. I just might lock it down for life. Put her on Super Max. She got that super wet. She got that boomerang. That shit make it come back. Asking did I take something in it an hour back. Lost her mind when I had her put it in front of back. Thought she had an asthma attack.
Been a few hours, but it feel like days.
Hold on.
Only been days, but it feel like months.
Yeah.
Gone for a year, only feel like once.
Let go.
Life move fast and you
Hold on.
I decide going where I want.
Real, what up?
Hope you doing what you want. What you want?
Yo. Go with me.
My dude look like a baby. But she don't love me, she too scary. My old me look like that crown. I want another shit too down. Will you be my leading lady? I want a contract, girl, no maybe. In the meantime, in the meantime, hope you know what you want.